let's start. Let's give me. Yeah, before we dive in, I love that. It's like an ASAP Rocky question. Like when he asked him the other day, they were like, "How long have you been a Knicks fan?" He's like, "I am a Knick," you know, and you
Born.
are. You're born. Yeah. Let's talk about your origins. Uh,
Yeah, so I was born right here in Barbados,
okay.
in St. Philip on the Sea Rocks by the ocean. Um,
Mm,
yeah, I was born here. My I live like 5 minutes away from the house that I was born, where my mom lives, and so yeah, I mean, very much um committed to the Sea Rocks of St. Philip, Barbados in terms of
yeah.
life.
Yeah. I love that. And as long as I've known you, that feels like a consistent thread. You've been consistently, unashamedly, um, uh, Bayesian is what they call it, correct? I want to make sure.
Barbadian, Bajan.
Never
Yeah.
know, Barbadian, Bayesian. You've been unashamedly. I met Lily in the Middle East during some business travels. We share founder friends, folks who are also building at the intersection of global mobility and change, and just found Lily to be incredible. And so you've been, what I do know about you is that you've been building in the Caribbean for at least about 2 decades, and the places and spaces
Yeah.
of which I know are real estate, fintech, blockchain, and now AI. And
Yeah.
and I
My,
guess my first question is, before we dive in, um, what are the last 20 years, let's call it, teach you about why things didn't work there?
what okay, so I I started my first business in 2009. I was 19. I was all and maybe it was a little bit before then, but yeah, 2009. And is that business is great. I had have I still have it from then to now. I have the most amazing clients in the world. It's in the villa rental
Mm,
space. And back then I realized that online was where it was at. You know, I wanted to go to law school in another island, and I was like,
mm,
"How I need to be able to work and go to law school. What what can I do?" And so that got me down like the villa rental space is great. It's like high revenue online, online business. Essentially, the whole thing is online. So
yeah,
that took off when I was in law school. And, really a lot of my clients are in the entertainment space. So I started in the entertainment space, and then I started getting recommended and referred, and as like a anywhere in the world that, rock stars would wanna go. Um, so so it's not that things don't work. There are things that do work, like the
yeah,
luxury villa rental industry in the Caribbean. Like, it's the most sophisticated luxury villa rental industry in the world. I think you could say that it even started here. So, and it's very much the force of nature behind you. Everybody wants to come to Barbados, everybody in the Caribbean, and people wanna stay in amazing places. They don't necessarily wanna stay in hotels. And,
right.
because, mobile technology and technology had, advanced so much, you could now, these online travel experiences
Yeah,
were starting to take off. And you had like luxury retreats and Airbnb and these companies um taking off. So back to your question, it's not that things don't work. Some things do work, but a lot of the time we have these, you know, mostly off systems, right?
mm,
So as we come into agentic AI, which gives us the opportunity to have always on, time equals zero systems, which reduces the time to zero, and always on because you don't have to ensure, agents don't agents can you can afford to run agents all day long,
yeah,
all night long. You can't necessarily afford to run people, employees all day long, all night long when the demand um you don't have economies of scale, right? What does it mean that you don't have economies of scale? It means just that, right?
yeah,
You don't have
yeah,
economies of scale to keep and maintain always on systems,
right,
essentially.
right. Yeah,
So that's exactly what it means.
okay.
Um, Yeah, I think. Well, maybe we can go back after this and ask.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I mean, I actually no, I'm glad you're going down this path. This is actually something I want to talk about, which is um
And
the
because
agent
but
era.
just to finish, because we
Okay.
don't have always on systems, you
Mhm.
don't have reliability, or because we have mostly off systems that are very
Yeah.
responsive and reactive, you don't have the reliability that it requires to run sometimes a global market, right?
Ah,
Or for global
makes sense.
markets to run through
Yeah.
the
Yep.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
Uh,
That makes sense.
because global markets need to be always on, essentially. I mean, I know the
Yeah.
stock exchange closes off at in the evenings, but you for
r-
sure it'll open back the next day, right? Guaranteed.
That makes sense.
The trains in London run on the hour, every hour, on the minute, every minute. You know that's
Right.
not necessarily the case in a place
Right.
that doesn't necessarily have the economies of scale. Um,
Yeah.
because so something I learned the other day from one of my great mentors. He was like, high pressure environments actually make teams stronger, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
the high pressure when things are always on, when you're really hustling, when you're down in the trenches, when the phone is ringing and things are nonstop, it actually
Yeah.
builds really strong teams. W- Idleness, when the phone stops ringing, when the things slow down, that's when the systems start to weaken. And
Okay.
and then people's attention is scattered, things go off the wheels fall off the bus. When you have high pressure, the wheels are gonna be sta
Yeah.
they're gonna stay. It's just like speed. I'm sure a race car driver will tell you, like, the faster you're going, actually, maybe the safer it is, right?
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
to, that's when things start to wobble. So, yeah, that's the general if that answers your question,
That did.
exactly.
Yeah, my question was really around, which is perfect. You answered it, which is, why agentic AI specifically, and why now, which I think you completely answered. And this moment
Well,
seems to be. Um, let me just let me get the question out and make sure I have it. Actually, I have what you've captured. The moment that you're describing seems to be matching the evolution of AI into agentic, because we're just coming into agentic. We're even, like, dare I say, just scaffolding the systems that will allow this kind of always on moment to exist. So we're right at the very beginning. So you signaling to the Caribbean that this agentic moment is here, and the agentic moment will serve this kind of environment is not lost on me. But go ahead, continue.
yeah. I can't remember. So exactly, why agentic AI? It's super, super new, right? Very,
Hmm.
very new. We're still early days. It's literally this year that we've
Yeah,
seen a lot of, like, OpenClaw, I mean, like, and maybe arguably not this year, but very close to the end of last year, early this year is what we've seen. And so it's still very new. Th we've seen we've seen technologies come about, like mobile made way for, Instagram, and it made way for Airbnb, like these category defining companies. Um, it also made cloud made way for AWS, crypto,
yeah,
right? Blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum made way for companies like Binance and Coinbase and Kraken,
yeah,
right? And other tokens like Cardano and Ethereum and, top and BNB, right? So, like, you have these category defining projects, companies that come out of
yeah,
this new technology, this new era of technology.
yeah,
And the argument is
yeah,
that, or the thesis is that there will be category defining companies, certainly, maybe the
yeah,
most valuable category defining companies we've ever seen
yeah,
will come out of this one, right? And this
yeah,
one, because the very nature of the technology is so intrinsically valuable, right?
yeah,
You literally, and we're already starting to see it. I'm seeing it from me. I can wholeheartedly, with, my full chest, say that AI was very much responsible for being able to get us here in 6, 8 weeks,
yeah,
right? Without it, this is a year of work, really, put
yeah,
into, I mean, partners and partners go a long way at accelerating your momentum, but one, for up until like this last week, it's been like one person. It's been me just doing everything from coding the
Right.
website to sealing the partnership deals to organizing the advisors to building the whole concept and putting the judging rubric together. Literally everything from start to finish on building an initiative like this has been
Yeah.
just me, and I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't have the leverage of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
technology. Like, I said it in the first speech that I did for this. There's this quote, like, "With leverage, you can lift the world, and
Mm.
with leverage, you can lift a region." With
Yeah.
yeah, there's
That's
no greater
beautiful.
there's no greater leverage than agentic AI right now, right? We're seeing Hyperliquid, for instance, is a company you can look up. They're making for every one employee, they're making $100 million for one employee, right? It's you can do with agentic AI what it would take entire departments to do, and it's very interesting. Like, especially in the Caribbean,
Mm.
we have we have 30 different territories,
Mhm.
and not all 30 of them have their own civil service, right? Um, but a lot of them have their own. They have to organize their own land registries, their own financial regulator, their own corporate registrar, their own entire civil service. It's a
Yeah.
huge lift for a country that has 70,000 people, 80,000, 120, 250, 3,000,000, 1,000,000. It's a huge
Yeah.
lift, and and these countries really, you know, should be investing as much as they
Yeah.
can in the future as
Well,
well.
let me put a pin in that. So, yeah, you're talking about the fragmentation, the 30 plus territories, different currencies and legal systems.
And
Walk me
languages.
through
And
languages. Yeah, walk me through what that actually looks like day to day for a builder trying to operate across the region.
yeah, not just a local builder has is an extreme sport. Being a builder in the Caribbean is an extreme sport. Being an
Mhm.
entrepreneur in the Caribbean is an extreme sport because it's very hard for you to access the different markets, very hard for you to get the licensing in the different markets, very hard for you to get to the different markets physically.
Yeah.
It's it's a real challenge. Like, people who succeed here, you pay a big, 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 big price in
Mm.
persistence, especially if they're in especially if they're in something that requires regulation, like a
Yeah.
financial institution, because
Yeah.
it's just like could take it's so even but at the same time we make it hard. It's hard for us, and one of the reasons why it's hard for us is because we have we have we just don't have enough hands,
Mm.
literally, like you could imagine.
Yeah.
We don't have the economies of scale. We have a heavy civil service that costs quite, but you're still, even with that, you don't have all the hands to catch the balls,
Okay.
because you don't have the economies of scale. And then, s- so it becomes very difficult, to it becomes very difficult for our entrepreneurs, especially in that. So fine. So like I said, it's not hard if you're in the villa rental business because
Right.
the force of nature is behind you, and
Right.
people all over the world want to come to the Caribbean and they want to spend thousands of dollars a night on a villa. But
Mm.
if you're trying to create something that helps in finance, for instance, like one of our big problems is we've got all these different currencies, and to trade
Right.
between the currencies costs quite a bit, right? So, like, for me to trade with Guyana, if a Barbadian wanted to trade with a Guyanese, it could cost
Uh-huh.
5 to 7%. By the time the money goes from Barbados to US to Guyanese, it's like 5 to 7%
Wow.
cost. And then to solve that problem is tough, right? Because you have to match. How are you gonna you kinda just have to accept the exchange rate that of the bank gives you.
Yeah.
But with agentic finance, um, with when agents can do the doing for you,
Mhm.
we're starting to
Yeah.
see, like, how these distributed networks would actually work,
Yeah.
with multiple accounts, like, trading between themselves,
Yeah.
like, very, very quickly and instantly.
That's
um,
right.
which would just have been impossible before to do. So, and maybe you could do that with a two-person team. Who knows, right? You don't
Right.
need to have enormous
Yeah.
annual
Well,
capacity, which just
well,
the math
what
on the board.
yeah, what we're seeing is that the new leader inside of an organization will be managing orchestration layers. So they'll be managing a bunch of different agents, say like an orchestration layer of like
Yeah,
15 digital employees. And so the new skill set will be managers who manage, um, you know, agentic teams across what we know as orchestration layers. And just because my readers and the people who follow um, some are looking at agentic, some may have never heard this term. I think what's important to note is that we're at the beginning stages of something that is going to be completely revolutionary. And what Lily talks about in terms of category defining, I think is really, really important. And the opportunity for the Caribbean to get to be right in the moment, right in the era where labor, talent, speed, the ability to be global and global, local, is shifting and changing is incredible. And so I'm grateful that you've kind of walked through
J-
the challenges of a founder and but less about the challenges, because I think what we're really talking about, which I get excited when I talk to you about, is more just the new opportunities, the new territories in which we have no idea what's going to come out of what you're doing at Future Caribbean and the Build-a-thon. We have no idea what founders outside of the Caribbean are going to build, and then they're going to partner with folks inside the Caribbean, and there's also this room for collaboration that we haven't seen. And so that's why I love that you describe it as new category and new definitions, because as much as we can talk about all of the sort of old way, the way that our the way that our families used to trade or build or develop services and goods, what we're talking about is an entirely new category, entirely new world.
yeah, is it new though? I don't know if it's that new. Like, s- there's I had a great conversation today, and we are talking about New York and how
Mm,
much of the Caribbean has influenced New York, right? And
yeah.
influenced hip hop. We've had this discussion too. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
we are all up. The other day, someone was like, "Just go do it in another island, right?" Or something like that. And like immediately, I was like, "There is no other." In my head, there is no other, right? This
Yeah,
is that. This is what greater connectivity means. It means,
yeah,
you know, um, it
yeah.
means,
Well, yeah, it's well, no, sorry, just because you went there. For me, as a historian, who's someone who's worked fed my family in the business of hip hop, I could think about it'd be a fun exercise. Had Kool Herc, a Jamaican, come to the Bronx, um, and brought his sound system, which itself was an exported technology, the idea of sound systems, which also affects the UK and London, and creates what we know as punk rock. And you imagine from the Caribbean, the Kool Herc of the future can stay in the Caribbean and export it and have his expertise, her expertise, connected with someone else around the world, and doesn't have to move. It can do it right from Guyana, right from Barbados,
yeah,
and that's what I think is really exciting, is there's so much in the Caribbean. It's so many incredible entrepreneurs, and now there's this idea of just home. Like, how do you actually create something that's at home? Which to me is exciting for me as someone who's on the diaspora, you know, um, and thinking about all my other colleagues and Jamaicans and Trinidadians and folks that I interact with in the business world, who all want to be home, and the sense of home. And I think there's really something about, this idea of building at home and the opportunities that will come out of this, that will be attractive for so many folks, like myself.
yeah. No, I think we have about 45 million people in the Caribbean, in all 30
Right.
territories, and then we also have another like 45, 50 million people in the diaspora. if we count like
Yeah.
people of Caribbean descent, which I think are absolutely still
Crazy.
Caribbean, which is
Yeah.
crazy. You have 100 million market
Yeah.
person
Right.
market or 100 million person community who can so
Yeah.
certainly and
Yeah.
a lot of us, a lot of Caribbean people, like, they work at Microsoft or NVIDIA or Google or, um, T-Mobile, like, great companies, or
Yeah.
Airtable, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's really awesome, and I'm saying that because I'm co that's from personal, I'm not just pulling
Yeah.
names out of the
True.
sky. Like, literally, they're messaging me, and they're in the Instagram comments, and
Yeah.
they're linking me up with other people that would be good advisors, and so it's
Yeah.
awesome, awesome, and awesome to see. I think there is, like, a real yearning there to
Yeah.
see, okay, it's like that, it's kinda like that like I sent you that, Simba this,
Yeah.
Sim Nala video today where he's, like, running back to return to Pride Rock, and I feel like
Yeah.
that could be this is a way, like, you don't have to get up and move back, right? Traditionally,
Right.
the way, my family business and, I'm a by profession, I'm a lawyer, predominantly real estate and corporate, but predominantly real estate, and my family is
Mm.
my mom and dad all in the real estate business, um and really, the diaspora would usually engage with, you buy a piece of land or you buy a house, but buying a piece of land, buying a house is not the most scalable way to
Right.
engage. It's
Right.
it's not, especially yeah, anyway. It's
Yeah.
especially when you can invest in technology, which is, like, hyper
That's
scalable.
it.
It's
That's it.
universally
That's it.
accessible. It's the
Yeah.
largest industry in the world, more wealth this is the largest wealth generating industry in the world. Like,
Yeah.
you could set up a company, and with the right people, it could have, you know,
Yeah.
just the start of it, a $3 million valuation just to begin. I'm sure that a lot of
Yeah.
companies coming out of this, that's what it's gonna start at, right? These valuations.
Totally.
And then there's the opportunity to go to the moon from there.
And it becomes, I think you know this. I grew up in Palo Alto. I went to high school in Silicon Valley. So I had the benefit of seeing the emergence of a place that, sort of has birthed everything that we're talking about. I remember the homebrew labs. I mean, Steve Jobs' house was around the corner from my high school. I mean,
Wow.
just that, I mean, we knew that. I mean, it wasn't like we knew all these people, right? So they're in the community. Hewlett and Packard went to my high school. Um, and so, when you're in this environment, so much shifts and changes when the local coffee shop you walk by and people are sitting there, trying to figure out something. But in this case, I think what's great is you'll have this mix of asynchronous and synchronous, both digital and physical. And I mean, who doesn't want to be in Barbados right now, right? I
Yeah,
do.
there
So,
today
how do you build those ecosystems that kind of resemble maybe Palo Alto, but also look to the future?
yeah, I think the in-person is super important. Right now, it's fully remote,
Yeah.
but I had a little gathering today, the first gathering. I didn't give any
Oh,
notice
good.
to the WhatsApp group,
Oh, wow.
but we had a good, like, I don't know, 8,
Good.
9 people show up. It was a good start,
Good. Good.
and,
Good.
um and met some awesome people. It's like God sends you the right people, you know?
Yeah. 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 Let
Which
me ask you around the people. Sorry, I mean, let me ask you this because I want to make sure that we maximize our time. So, if someone's watching this, in Kingston and Nassau or Port of Spain, and they've been building with the AI tools on their own this year, but they don't really have anything on their resume. What do you want them to know, for the person who's just starting off, just getting into AI?
yeah. Okay, innovation does not happen in isolation. It's a
Mhm.
collaborative endeavor, right?
Yeah,
Encouragement means I give you courage, right? That's how I got into this position that I'm in, right? I didn't just wake up one morning and I was I was encouraged by my community, right? And there
yeah,
was alignment and the
yeah,
right things lined up, right? And the right people also believed in the mission and the vision and were and put and supported me with it.
yeah,
And I think that's the same thing with entrepreneurs. You do need a community of
yeah,
people. You wanna start building the community. You wanna
yeah,
start determining where the alignment is. So many, most startups do not end up doing what they went to market doing, right? This is just the beginning. Your application is just the beginning. You take
Right.
it to market and you test it and you try and you pivot and you learn the market. Like all of that is learning the market, gaining exposure, learning how to
Mhm.
direct, which is why we call it a build-a-thon. A build-a-thon means it's like built-in collaboration. It's not a hackathon where it's like a few days, well, not a few days, but a day of
Yep.
hacking, right, with certain instructions in a room with people, which is still collaborative. But
Mhm.
this is a build-a-thon where we're bringing together advisors, the best advisors that I could find, across banking, across economics, across technology, across AI, like really. And then you get to talk to them, you get to engage with them, and
Yeah.
you get to hone your product, which is very important. Again, innovation really doesn't happen in isolation. It's the venture space is not an isolated
Right.
endeavor, right? It's all community driven, and I send the project to you, James. Do you think it's what do you think about it? What do you think about it? It's all crowd signaling, right? It's all
Yeah.
crowd signaling, and it's the
Yeah.
same thing for the entrepreneur. Like he needs crowd signaling to give him the the horsepower,
Yeah.
right? To move with something, and then the market has to contribute horsepower.
Yeah.
Market has to contribute horsepower. So okay, I'm gonna just end with this to your question with this. My
Yeah. What I'm trying, make sure what I'm trying to get at is what you're actually looking for,
Okay,
and based on the builder, the type of builder,
right, right.
who you're trying to attract.
So the builder momentum is one thing, right? There has to be there needs to be product market fit, there has to be alignment, there has to be capacity, there has to
Yeah.
be we have to be able to see, we have to there ha the we have to be able to see it in their eyes that they believe in themselves, right? And that they know that this is important. And even if they don't, even if they're not 100%, like, this is where you bring that idea as well
Yeah.
to get alignment,
Okay.
to try to find where needs tweaking, where needs
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be perfect to get to market, but recognizing that this is a work in progress,
Yeah.
right? This is a very short period of time, like, submit application by July 3rd, and then you're off to the races, and then by September, there's judging, but that's not the be end and end all, it's just the beginning, right? And
Yeah.
then so
Perfect.
really looking for great teams, like, if you think that, and right now, I mean, you have accelerated potential because you can go to Claude, or you can go to ChatGPT, you can use open source frameworks to
Hmm.
help you build. You don't have to go to MIT for a
Right.
four-year degree in engineering,
Yeah.
but you can consult you can consult the tools that are available, of which there are many, in which
Yeah.
their capacities are great.
You mentioned, I think, somewhere on the website about a working system. The builder needs to have a working system, maybe. Um, what does a working system look like to you versus like a pitch deck? What's the bar? Just so I want to make sure that people understand. You know.
Okay, it's pretty flexible. You can apply. The
Okay.
big uh, the 50% of the judging is agentic AI. How well would this workflow? So if you're building an agentic AI, there's a requirement for a workflow,
Hmm.
so you can submit the workflow in terms of how you're gonna
Hmm.
build.
Okay.
At least. But of course, the more information you have, if you have a GitHub that you've started, right, which is what we also request, even if it's just the GitHub of the website, right? Everybody should have a GitHub.
Hmm.
Um, a Loom video also, there's a option to do a Loom if you have built some technology on how this thing works.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, the the more information, the better, but don't be deterred.
Yeah.
If you're now starting out, don't be deterred. But also, if you've been doing this and working for this for a year or 10
Yeah.
years or 5 years, don't be deterred.
Yeah, I think for those who are watching this should know, if you're especially if you're just even trying to wrap your head around agentic. I mean, the things that are really important when you're building agents are the actual systems and the approach. And those of us that are building an agentic, I call myself one of those now, which is pretty exciting. It's actually the development of the systems that you plug the agents into, for lack of a better word, And so I think it's important for those that are embracing agentic is that some of the most interesting work I do is the actual frameworks, which when Lily talks about GitHub or other places where you store this information, you can actually, the agents can actually see the roadmap, and so the systems and the prep work actually allows the agents to work with something with context and details, and so I'm building. We're building and shipping every week. I like to say that ship messy, for us, because it's the habit of actually building and shipping that I think is really important. And so I want to close though with something. This is something I think that I was thinking about. This is a question that I kind of thought about, and so you grew up where the storm always comes, right? And there's disaster prep and supply chain breaks and the grid going down, and so that's just life, right? And do you think that that's actually an advantage for builders in the Caribbean? Like, does growing up solving real problems under real pressure make you better at this than someone who's only built in a stable market?
Oh my gosh, I have the answer for this.
Yes.
So there's something, there's something about growing up in the Caribbean that gives you this groundedness, this really powerful grounded energy that a when you reach the atmosphere, it's just you just
Mm,
right? You just like how many incredible Caribbean people do we know who we can reference? You
yeah.
know, that when they reach the atmosphere, Rihanna, right? There's incredible Usain Bolt, there's literally
Right.
atmospheric rockets
I
and
love that.
incredible people, if you look under the hood of technology and
Yeah.
we have some incredible Caribbean people who have just you can tell me all day long about stories in hip hop of Grandmaster Flash and these incredible people that just
Yeah.
created, just went to the outer
Yeah.
space, most galactic levels,
Yeah.
right here from the Caribbean. So there's enormous benefit from being from the Caribbean. And
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah. It sounds like an incubation. It's like it's wrapped you.
natural incubation, yeah, and just even how you deal with people, how you are with people, your very nature is very
Yeah.
globally attractive as
Yeah. I
well.
bet. Wow, that's fast. That makes sense. Yeah, you're the nervous system of a Caribbean person always feels very grounded. It always feels like even the way that you speak, you're it's the pauses between the sentences, as they say in meditation. Like there's something about the resonance of how you speak, and I recognize that. I recognize that in the people, the music, the culture, the food, and it's something that I'm obviously stepping into. I've been going to the Caribbean my entire life, but as I wrote in the article, I didn't have a sense of Bahamian culture until recently, until I actually found out because I didn't grow up with my father that I was actually from the Bahamas, and so it's been a really amazing coming into it. But I had worked with the Caribbean for years. I worked on Supercat, early on in the reggae world, in the dancehall world, and I always had a fond appreciation. Then moving to New York City, I moved to New York, and that's when really the diaspora sort of came to life for me. When you're with the entire diaspora, I got to really understand the difference between a Trinidadian and a Jamaican, and what that really means, not just in food, but in even demeanor or approach. And it's almost like how I'm doing business now in the Middle East. Like I understand the difference between someone from Qatar and the difference between someone from OW. And it's been really interesting to come into this Caribbean knowingness, because I am from it. These are my people. And so yeah, it's been really special. I took and part of what I wrote in the article was I took Nas and Harlem Capital and Eric Moore to the Bahamas as part of a delegation during NBA All Star Weekend. The NBA has these midwinter meetings, and I remember this trip specifically because it was when I actually found out that I was Bahamian, and I remember just me going and going, well, that could be my cousin. That could be my cousin. That's my like the whole place. And when I told people that I just had come into understanding my Bahamian roots, literally, when I tell you this, everybody was like, "We're going to help you find your family right now." Like they literally like, "No, when you're done here, we're going to find your people." I was just like, "Whoa, this is a lot. This is amazing." And it's just been incredible ever since. And that same thing happened for me, with Aisha Bo, who's one of the amazing astronauts who did the Blue Origin trip, with all those amazing women. So proud of her. Once she found out, and we've been friends for years, that I was Bahamian, literally I'm on calls with the Bahamas. I feel like every day now in working and supporting you and in understanding the Caribbean. It's been incredible. The Bahamians who have come out, of the woodworks to support just me, even supporting you. So I just want to add to that. Yeah, let me really a couple things I want to add. So 40 teams, 10 tracks, 21 days, 20 days, and then a pitch at the New York Stock Exchange. So this is incredible. What happens to the teams that don't win? Is there a version of this where everyone who builds something real gets something out of it?
Yeah, I think no matter what, even applicants, from now I just did my first 3 advisory calls on Friday, so even though teams are far from the finish line, when we start to see synergies, we start matching.
Okay.
And that's, like, providing instant value to teams
Yeah.
that apply, right? If
Right.
where we see the synergies. So, again, you wanna be I got this, metaphor from Bill Nye the other day, and he was like, "You can't make the wave, you can only surf it, you can only ride it, you can't make it, you can't push the boulder up the hill, you can only ride it." But in order to ride the wave, you mustn't get out the sea, you have to be in the sea. You can't go and get on the
Yeah.
beach, right?
Right.
And the whole purpose of this initiative is, like, how do we get the Caribbean back in the sea, back in the sea of innovation, in the sea of agentic AI, in the sea of the future, so
Yeah.
that we can ride that wave, right?
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Take a breath. That's the promise and the opportunity around that is not lost on me. And you are an incredible leader, and to be holding this vision and to be the catalyst or instigator or because I know the way you approach this. You're like the way you see this is you're just creating this space, and I love that. Even the way you talk about it, it requires a breath because it's massive and the opportunities are massive and the returns are going to be massive, and the shift that you're going to create for the economy, the Caribbean as a whole, and finally looking I find often, and I don't know if this is just the way that I've been doing business, but the Caribbean often looks at things as through like Jamaican or Trinidadian, and I love that our conversations have been about the entire region. And I feel that when you're talking, I feel that it's important for you to take a breath because the opportunity is massive. It's big. It's so important and so needed.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you so much. I feel that. I feel like it's necessary, it's needed, right? And that's what we should all be doing with our lives, I feel. Like,
yeah,
what is the most necessary? What's the most needed? And I feel that this is certainly right up there, creating a venture ecosystem for the Caribbean, like a venture because it's the largest industry in the world, right? Like we should be participating in the largest industry in the world in a big way. We should be building our own products and selling those products to the world at large. And we
yeah,
should create the space and the nutrition and the nurturing environment for that to happen. And
yeah,
that only happens again back to it doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in total collaboration,
yeah.
not just with each other, but with the world at large. And in order to collaborate more greatly with the world at large, we do need to come together and be able to collaborate more with each other as well.
Yeah, wow. When I called Aisha Bow and told her about my Bahamian roots, she told me so many things about the region that I didn't know, right? And I needed to hear. She was like, "You need to understand this about the Caribbean." Is there a moment like that for you when someone has told you something about the Caribbean that changed how you saw it?
It's changed how I feel like I've always seen it as its greatest ultimate potential or through the eyes what we're all here for, to achieve our ultimate potential. That's why we're born. And the region also similarly, everybody in it, all 100 million of us, we're all
Mm.
here to obtain our ultimate potential. And this is, when it comes to finances and being able to syndicate capital and resources, like Tony Robbins says, it's never a lack of resources, only a lack of resourcefulness. And we're incredibly resourceful people. Like, we can achieve anything we put our minds to, even multiplied by force, when we come together. So
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.